to the Kampala Abattoir, Old Port Bell Road, and we caught up with Mwesigye Edward, who is a cattle trader and also publicity secretary, who gave us a quick guide of the normal business days and all details regarding fluctuations in meat prices. Check this out. Mwesigye Edward, a cattle trader, also publicity secretary at the Kampala Abattoir, Old Port Bell Road, takes us through the journey of the cattle that is slaughtered.
At this point, that is where we receive them, when those trucks come from up country or from the cattle corridors or the markets. We normally receive them from here and buy them from here. When they are going for slaughter, they go up to the extreme end where we have slaughter houses. From the slaughterhouse, that's when we have meat. We put it there and then buyers come and buy. Yes, at a wholesale price, because normally here we slaughter a number of cows, between 200 to 300 daily.
He says that the cows come from all regions of the country, says the abattoir on Old Port Bell Road is the main market in the country, and that the prices range normally according to the quality of the meat.
They normally come from the cattle corridors, that's say from Barara, from Chenkwanzi, from Kabong in Karamoja area and the Teso area. Yes, we get cows from all over the country. This is the main market of Uganda. The price depends on the quality of the meat. We normally have different categories, or what I would call quality of the meat. We have the one which is the fatty, which is locally known as the Nsava. We have medium ones, and we have white meat, and we have that meat of the animals that are in poor state. That one, we bone it and put it into a machine. Then we produce what we call minced meat, which serves for samosas and other things in that category.
Mwesigye says that when you look at the high prices that have been recorded can be attributed to the outbreak of droughts in some cattle rearing regions, plus the coronavirus pandemic.
There has been a drought all over the country, majorly in cattle corridors or in areas where those cows are from. That is in Mbarara, in Chenkwanzi, Bulemezi, in Ngoma, and Bururi. So there we've been receiving some few cows. And remember, you should not forget that there has been effects of corona. The purchasing power has declined in all Ugandans. Very few now who can afford actually a kilo of meat at a butcher.
Mwesigye further reveals that their cardinal principle at the abattoirs is to ensure cleanliness all the time. Says hygiene in their business is very important and they have to observe it.
Actually, that is our cardinal principle, because we deal in meat. And any member of ours who defies to clean where he or she works from, we penalize them, because we have our bylaws which have to be followed. Anybody who defies that, we penalize him, we as leaders. As you can see right from here, even the crowd there, we have water. Where we sell meat there, we clean constantly, every after a few minutes, because we have to clean that blood off the floor. So hygiene is very important and we observe it.
Well, if you want to be part of the abattoirs, these are some of the key notes that you need to know, and the major one is registration.
The procedures that have to be followed, but those procedures are free of charge. When you have interest, we first ask you if you have experience, then you come, we register you, you bring your national ID. You have to be knowing where you stay, and maybe some people who knew you, then you enter into the market. Then the forces of supply and demand will determine your fate. If you realize profit, if you realize it. Remember, here we buy a cow without weighing it. But when we slaughter, you have to weigh. So experience comes in a sense that you will just see a cow and you buy it like at 2.5, not knowing what you are going to get out of it. That is where the problem is. But here it is just a matter of registering you. We as leaders, we know you, that you were Ugandan, you were a citizen, you bring the letter from LOCs, just to know your area or place of abode. That is it. Otherwise, there is no costs that we charge you that or this, no way.
Cattle are the main source of meat in the country and are reared on the rangelands which occupy 84,000 square kilometers. The cattle corridors extend from Moroto and Kotido in northeast through central Uganda to southwest of Mubende, Masaka, Rakai and Barara of the cattle population. 80% is in the southwest where the average number per household is 2.11 animals compared to northern Uganda with 0.67 and the national average of 1 animal per household. From the western part of Uganda, Rakai, Masaka, Mubende and Barara are being the land with a lot of cattle. And as well, you can add to most of the cattle corridors extend from Moroto, Kotido in northeastern Uganda. That is in the Karamoja region. Remember, the nomadic pastoralists. Well, Lufula, in the Lugandan dialect, clearly. This particular story report was from the Old Port Bell Road, Kampala Abattoir. And the gentleman in the story who was taking us through was Mr. Edward, who is a cattle trader as well, and also publicity secretary of the Kampala Abattoir Old Port Bell Road. He clearly clarifies that once they are done slaughtering, the very first thing they do is making sure that they clean this blood. Remember, there are always concerns about places where these animals are cut from, are slaughtered from. There are always stories whereby people are saying that how safe are these places? How is the hygiene of the area? Because when you look at the continuous reports that come out, but he comes out and clarifies that, well, they deal in meat and they do understand that it is very pivotal to be very clean at all costs. It is very pivotal to maintain proper or safer hygiene for you as the consumer. And clearly, he also highlights on some of the reasons as to why you could see the high increase in the prices. One reason being, we're just from even the COVID situation. And very few people may be able to actually afford this particular beef or meat. And in the long way, drought in most of these areas, the cattle rearing areas, has also created room for high prices in the meat prices. Because when you look at some of the areas in Kampala, most of the markets now, a kilogram of beef is ranging between 16,000 to 18,000. And initially, before we were into February, the kilo was between 14,000 to 16,000 in between that range. Now, because the price is actually escalating, not only beef, let's say cooking oil, a bar of soap, sugar, fuel prices, and also meat wasn't left the same. But when you look at the reason behind it is that drought, because there has been demand. Once there is demand and there is limited supply on the market, then you definitely expect the prices to hike. Reason being, if at all the people who want to actually buy beef or beef products are many, and we only have limited stock on the market or in the abattoirs, then definitely it is actually going to be very expensive. And when you look at some of the regions that actually attract a number of, let's say, a number of cattle, is looking at areas from Moroto, Kotido, that is in northeastern Uganda. Then moving on to the southwest of Uganda, there is districts of Mubende, districts of Mbarara, districts of Masaka and Rakai. These are some of the cattle rearing districts that definitely have as 80% of the cattle that heads to the abattoirs in Kampala come from the southwestern part of Uganda. If you to look at districts of Mubende, Masaka, Rakai and Mbarara, those ones contribute 80% of the cattle that comes into the central part of Uganda here, in the abattoirs and also in the markets that you definitely receive at the end of the day. So, and also what you also need to know is that Uganda does not have an abattoir that is actually on the international standards as of yet, because normally the meat consumption is mainly around here. Very few of the exports that go out, but so far we do not have that let's say a world-class abattoir that you can clearly say, well, this is a modified world-class abattoir. We're still having the abattoirs. If you to look at the main abattoirs that we can have, the Kampala abattoir around there, mainly when you look at 3 that can meet national standards, the others are more of slaughtering areas, let's say the local lufulas that we know. And normally people just take their cattle. The price of a cow at the abattoir can range between 1.5 to 2 million or to 3 million or 1 million to 3 million. Reason also depends on the quality of the cattle or on the weight of the cows that you're taking in there, because it also depends. Let's say if you've taken it to the abattoir and you're saying, well, my cow weighs this particular kilograms and I want 2 million out of it. Well, they will also weigh and say, after, let's say, slaughtering it, we are done with removing the hooves, we are done with removing, let's say, the head, and then what next? We weigh. Remember, they're also going to remove the skin and the hides, all that. So they weigh the kilograms that can come out of it, and they tell you, well, this is what we're going to make from it. So that means I cannot give you the 2 million, I'll give you 1.5. Though the cattle rearers sometimes do say, those who deal in the grazing do say that the people at the abattoirs normally charge them high, cheat them of their money, because he takes his cow knowing it's weighing way more than even 2 million Ugandan shillings, and then they end up receiving maybe 1.3 or 1.5 million Ugandan shillings. There is also another huge concern regarding the prices of beef, because Mosige does believe that in most cases, some of the butchers tend to increase the prices of these products, even if they get them at the low. If, for example, if a kilo is sold from the abattoir at maybe 12,000 Ugandan shillings, it might reach the market at 16,000 Ugandan shillings. So that means the other butcher is making a 4,000 profit out of the other particular one. So it goes back to a lot. When you look at the increasing prices or the escalating prices of commodities, and better yet, when you look at what is actually coming in from the area of meat consumption, it can as well be attributed to a number of factors. And one of which, like I mentioned earlier, drought. The other can also be issue of the cost of production, let's say issue to do with transportation from the rural areas, issue of the fuel prices in there, transportation, the cost of transportation being on a high, definitely affecting the price of this particular one. Well, when you look at some of the key issues, if I told you want to join the abattoirs in town, still looking at the abattoir business, there is registration, and you need to also bring out documents, or let's say a letter from the local council chairman from your region or where you're coming from, to clearly show that you are having a good, let's say, a good recommendation from your council, or let's say from your local council, so that they can clearly take you through. And also, like he did say, experience is very vital in this particular business, because they will not take you in there at the abattoir just because you have that love, before you actually get through some training, because you need to understand the market, you need to understand how to handle these cattle, you need to also understand how the slaughtering process occurs. So a lot of this sector takes some time for anyone who wants to venture into it, but then, like any other business, it needs your time to understand how effective it can be and how you can make some profits out of that business. Well, besides that, when you look at some of the cattle that is brought to the abattoirs, once the cattle is brought to the abattoirs and sold off to the abattoirs and to the traders at the abattoir, then it is actually kept in specified corrals that are left at the abattoirs, and then afterwards the slaughtering process occurs. After slaughtering, it is when it's actually set out to the markets, to the butchers, whereby you, someone who doesn't head to the abattoir, will actually go to the market or to your designated butcher, and you can clearly get yourself a kilo, 2 kilos, or a half kilo of let's say, beef. So that is how the process of meat production, or let's say the process of selling the meat that you get, or definitely the one that you buy in your restaurant when it's already prepared, and having that beef stew prepared with more of curry powder as well. So clearly one of the key aspects here is that hygiene is a cardinal principle. At all abattoirs, they have to clean at all costs because they have to maintain that cleanliness at all levels. And furthermore, cattle are the main source of meat in the country and are reared on rangelands which occupy 84,000 square kilometers in the country, with areas that I highlighted earlier, the southwestern part of Uganda as well as the northeastern part of Uganda contributing to that, though the 80% of cattle comes in from the southwestern part of Uganda. And when you look at this, of the cattle population, 80% is in the southwestern part of Uganda, where the average number per household is 2.11 animals compared to northern Uganda, which has 0.67, and the national average of 1 animal per household. So southwestern Uganda still the major, if you're to look at the major producers of cattle, should I say, or where most of the cattle come from, most of the cows come from there to hit the city center abattoirs in that particular regard. Well, this is Smart Means Business, your morning kickstarter. Definitely here to inform you. Being the first to know is very, very vital for anyone out there. Being the first to get information regarding business matters sets you above the ordinary and gives you an insightful view of what is happening from all markets, whether local and international. Because as a business person and a business owner, it is very important for you to understand what is happening from all the angles to do with business. Because here we bring you exclusive interviews, we bring you weather updates, we give you business tips, business quotes. So it is definitely a Kasavu Kanyama situation whereby you have to understand how business is faring in the country and getting you that insightful exclusive interview from your key sector players. And of course, whether you want that for your morning. This is Smart Means Business, and I'm Joram Paul Sonko. We do take a break. After that break, we do return with weather updates and also looking at cargo logistics in our SMB report.